What we're presenting is a proposal for architectural services from Beers and Hoffman for the Bridge House and the Transitional Housing programs in the amount of $27,010. And we're hoping we can take that out of Act 137 funding. As you know, the Bridge House has 3 units of housing. The transitional houses are 3. And what we do is we house homeless families with children. We've had the Bridge House property since 1986 and the transitional property since 1998. All 4 structures are aging. They've been in our fleet for a long time, and we were concerned, 1, did they meet code? 2, are they structurally sound as they're moving forward? So that's why we've contacted Beers and Hoffman to take a look, because we want to make sure the properties are safe for our
I'm sorry.
I'm Joseph Connor. I'm an architect with Beers Hoffman.
Bob Hoffman, Beers and Hoffman.
Thank you. So they've already been through the facilities and to develop this estimate or this agreement anyway. And one of the things I had talked to Joe about getting is at least some rough estimate, particularly of the Bridge House, on what that would take to make the improvements and upgrades and so on, because that one, has a lot of question marks, I think, as far as codes and condition and things like that. I mean, this is essentially an old residential house that we have modified to our needs over the last 30 years, and it's time. So we did have a brief discussion over this several months ago about utilizing Act 137 funds for this. Seems like a very good fit for the intention and the spirit of that fund. And so if by the time they do some drawings and some estimates and so on, you want to go forward with that, you utilize that fund for this type of thing. And clearly, that's exactly what this does: is provides for homeless transition and for housing needs.
Well, make a motion to go ahead and use $27,010 from Act 137 funds to do the, I don't know if you want to call it study, but paperwork, so we can make decisions.
Motion is second to approve the expenditure from the Act 137 funds. And
Could I just ask for them to, maybe for Joe to explain what the deliverables will be at the end of the process?
Sure.
I think with regards to the properties, I mean, initially, obviously, the other properties clearly are single family and one and two family homes. They're twin homes or they're a duplex. The Bridge House is the one, of course, that has perhaps the most questions because of by its very nature, in current code, it would be defined more in the commercial code than would be the residential code. So initially, one of our first efforts is just, quite frankly, development of the existing condition documentation. Following that development of existing condition documentation is the opportunity to review with the code official how that building in particular will be viewed and whether it will remain as a... So the evaluation of the Bridge House will be one to determine exactly under what body of codes it will be reviewed under, to determine what previous, or the estimates that we had been presented with before, in terms of what had been considered for that building, whether or not that's all that needs to be done, or if there are some more things that need to be done to that building. At that point is where I think we would be really looking to develop some conceptual cost estimating to provide you with the opportunity to make a determination as to whether or not moving forward with renovations to the Bridge House is warranted. Otherwise, if they seem to be in line with what previous estimates have been, then certainly we would recommend that it continue and simply be renovated as it is now.
Can you highlight some of the more obvious?
Well, initially, again, anyone walking into it will look at it as simply as apartment buildings, but when you walk into it and you have to understand that, again, I don't know the original history of the building, if it was in fact just a single-family farmhouse, but as it's currently divided right now, there are 2 units that are horizontally separated, with 1 unit separated vertically, and that's a vertical unit. That's a 2-story unit. So in pure simple code, the idea like the duplex units that you have on South 10th Street as well as on north of 7th Street, they're vertically divided from the one beside them. That's a fairly simple, straightforward code separation. Horizontal separation becomes more of a concern because obviously if there's a unit downstairs and a unit upstairs, fire above, fire below, we have to ensure that they're properly separated. That's one of the things I think initially walking into it, when I looked at the prior list of deficiencies and things that were being addressed, they were all, I'd say, more aesthetic related. Some more functional. There's issues with pipes in the basement freezing. There's some electrical concerns and things like that. But it's that kind of overriding concern that maybe fundamentally, again, the building 30 years ago, we didn't have the IBC building codes in place. They came into effect in 2004. So now there's no change in use. The building hasn't changed its use. It's just that if we're asked to look at it from a code perspective, we want to be responsible and say that the way it should be separated is this way. Are we meeting those separations? And if not, what do we need to do to address those? And if that becomes a cost prohibitive effort, then that's the recommendation we're going to make very early on before we go to the point of going to bid documents. So, and then to the point of cost estimating, and again, this is within the last 24 hours, Jamie had asked. So I did, so I guess to your point of a motion, I did have a conversation with the local construction management firm, Arthur Funk & Sons. We can, if we choose to, purchase services from them for the development of conceptual cost estimating to approximately $3,000.
We'll call the question. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, so ordered.